So I did that with them and it worked out because they just couldn't at that point. But what is so great about the way you learn, because it's something I researched as well, is that your mind continues to develop. So that is why you get people, for instance, who would have not done well at school and then they end up doing a degree in their later years. So how would you explain that? If they didn't do well at school, what has happened in the meantime? But the brain continues to develop. You learn the way you learn. You become better at it as an adult because you would have practiced anyway, time management, things like that, and because you want.
Yeah,
and
there's
when
value
you have
in it.
that ambition, and when you can, like you mentioned, the resilience, when you are resisting, because it's not easy.
Yeah.
All these difficulties, getting tired quicker than other people to get tired. So you have to chop up your studying. You have to plan for that. That you cannot study for 3 hours, for instance. It's too much. So you have to plan your whole day around that. But these are things that you learn along the way. And sometimes time gives you that advantage then when you are older. But I think ambition, and then is the drive.
Yeah.
And proving people wrong, you have no idea. How you have no idea, because I have to get that. I've met obviously educators who are wonderful people, and they were educators during Parents' Day that were like...
It's the projection, eh?
Do I have to listen to this? No, I don't have to, because it's not going anywhere. That literally, tell you about your children, how, like, they're not doing well. Like, I said,
I'm surprised.
I know more than you, I know exactly, but it's part of their learning journey. To not be good at this moment doesn't mean anything about the future. But yes, it was very discouraging even for me. In fact, sometimes I used to just leave Parents' Day because I weren't going anywhere. There was nothing constructive going on. And then there were educators, I remember one in particular, she used to say, he participates so much, he wants to learn so much, and he always wants to give out the copybooks and things like that. And as a parent, I used to go out with her, I say, wow, how engaged he is with this teacher, even though he's getting a 3 out of 10. Don't give him 5. It's 3 as he deserves. It's 3, it's fine. I'm not asking you to mask anything, but give him other experiences where he can be successful in class.
I would say that the education transcends the subject that you're teaching.
Yes, and I'm afraid it has to be measured.
Yeah.
No, with a number.
For sure.
And I always tell, I used to work as an LSC before the job I have now. So I was very much in my element there.
All right.
And I used to tell them, don't get discouraged about the marks. The marks are not you. The mark is not for you. It is for that work, for that test, at this point in time. So put it in context. Okay, see the corrections.
Yeah.
And here I appeal to teachers to be kind in their corrections as well. Try harder is not kind when they would have tried the hardest they can. So put something positive. Students who struggle, no, they struggle. You don't have to remind them. But you can, say something nice or something that is true, but something positive, something that they can use it as a step to improve. But otherwise, our education system is what it is. It has to be assessed, it has to be given a number. Most of the time, it represents a lot of other techniques that will make you successful. Is like understanding what the teacher wants from you, understanding what is important. So we studied as just that.
Yes.
Those are hints I used to give. Yes. My students I support say, pay attention. Because they're not expecting you to study everything. Because you can't write everything in 2 hours.
And sometimes just understanding the concept behind the explanation. If you understand the concept, you'll get there much quicker.
Exactly. But it can be a very cruel word for young people with learning difficulties, for sure. It's up to us. Because we maybe talk a bit too much or say things that maybe are better not said. Let me say that. Because it happened to my children. And they still carry them, despite all the successes.
I think what we have to keep in mind here is that we are all works in progress. So I think the techniques that you're mentioning, the finding the way how you study, using different tools, I think it applies to everyone. And if we don't go through these kind of adversities for many reasons, we don't develop the ability or the mindset that, listen, how can I do this better? What can assist me to not play with my strength necessarily, but to function better, to feel more at ease. And there are some tools that work for us today that they might not keep on working in the future as well. So we have to develop that kind of insight about ourselves to try different things that even for productivity purpose, not just to read and write, but even for productivity purposes, or how we can be more listen actively, for example. How can I practice active listening more? How can I keep track on that? Or our well-being, keeping gratitude journals, for example. What will help me feel less stressed, for example? How can I be more resilient?
Exactly. These are things that unfortunately are not
Taught.
given much importance at school.